All right, hey guys, it is Thursday, July 3rd. A lot of us already probably well underway with your July 4th weekend forecast. This morning it felt oddly comfortable outside, at least to me. Now, granted, I walk outside at about, 3 o'clock in the morning for this morning shift. However, I still noticed a tangible difference. It was 68 degrees, but the humidity levels were down. Dew points were down. The air felt less oppressive. We have a drier air mass in place, and that's kind of evident by the water vapor. Now, if you're across the state of Alabama, especially in the northern half, you're looking up and you're probably seeing some high cloud cover. The surface up to mid levels of the atmosphere are actually very dry, but mid levels and up, you actually have some moisture that's aloft, and that's going to help to actually keep us a bit cooler as we head into the afternoon. There's really no instability, and there's not a whole lot of moisture lower in the atmosphere, so I don't know that we'll see any rainfall from this. But again, drier air, tough to come by this time of year, so hey, we'll take it. All right, so let's talk about this precipitable water. This is a fancy term that we like to use when we're talking about the water content in the atmosphere. All right, so let's look at just up close here over Alabama. This is currently right now. I'm doing this at 10:30. We move this forward through the weekend, and these lighter blues, that's a relatively low content for us, and that's going to be in place here really through the next couple of days. So we don't actually see an increase in our precipitable water content. And that's part of the reason our rain chances are fairly low. Now, again, we're Alabama, we're summertime. It is almost impossible to say that we're going to have no rain chances, but this is going to help to get rid of that heat index. If you recall our values, about a week ago, maybe a little longer than that, June 20th through 25th, we approached, 100, 105, 108, and that was because we also had a lot of water in the air. Water is a really, really good absorber of heat, and so when you have a lot of water present, there's an extra energy element to it, and we just don't have as much moisture in the air, so it feels much nicer. How about 81 here at 10:30 in Birmingham, 83 in Tuscaloosa, 84 in Montgomery, 87 in Dothan. Hey, not too bad. It can certainly be hotter this time of year. Look at the composite radar, and this is the front that has brought about that drier air and pushed that tropical air further to the south. So, hey, we will absolutely take it here this time of year. So the question is, what's next? What do we have in store for the rest of the day today? So let's go to Thursday evening, and you'll notice here this particular run of the HRRR, it actually keeps depicting a little shower or two. Now, this, again, might be picking up on some of that mid-level, upper-level moisture. I just don't know that we're going to have any instability or enough instability to bring about some showers. But you see there, that coverage is very low. Tough to quantify that. I think most of us stay dry, but that covers, 5-10% chance of a shower. Okay, let's go now to Friday morning. Happy 4th, everybody. We'll start off the day pretty quiet, partly cloudy to mostly sunny. And really through the majority of the day, we are dry. Now, you look at about 2 o'clock. I lived in Dothan for years. This is one of the more common occurrences right here. I think we're going to have more of an easterly wind, but you still have this interaction of the sea breeze front, okay? So you've got kind of the clash of two different, air masses. You can sometimes have this Atlantic type air mass, and then you've got your Gulf air mass, and where those sort of merge and intersect, if you will, you'll get these thunderstorms. So again, across the Wiregrass, chance of a few scattered storms. And some of these might, stretch all the way up to that I-85 stretch. But again, the further north you are in the state, the lower our rain chances. As always, not out of the question. Maybe near Roanoke or Wedowee in Randolph County, we could see a shower or a thunderstorm. But the theme of the weekend is drier conditions, especially relative to what we've had here recently. Our NDFD model data, this is a look at rain chances over a period of time. So this is our 12-hour, essentially from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, 9 in the morning, 9 at night, that 12-hour window. And the probability of precipitation is very low across the state for the 4th. Again, you'll note that 15 to 25% goes all the way up to Sylacauga. But, for most of the state, it's almost just nil here when talking about rain chances. Saturday comes up just a little bit. We bring those very isolated rain chances all the way up to I-20. So how about our highs on Friday? Look at that, 95 Tuscaloosa, 90 in Birmingham, 93 in Gadsden, 94, 89 in Hamilton. Of course, there'll be some variability. I think 89 to 95 is a fair range for the northern half of the state, 94, 95, 96 once you get down south of US 80, so summer-like weather just about everywhere. This is a look at highs on Saturday, and again, we're likely looking at low to middle 90s. And there's not going to be much in the way of convection to slow down highs. Even with isolated thunderstorms just about everywhere, should be able to reach that range of afternoon high temperatures. And speaking of temperatures, this is a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, calling for slightly below average right there in the middle of the country through July 17th. We remain in that lower percentile, but leaning slightly above average through that same period. All right, let's look at your futurecast. We'll go Saturday afternoon to evening. There's been a lot of question about this. Again, I have a feeling this is going to get a name. I don't think it should, but it's probably going to get a name because everything gets a name nowadays. But this is going to be a low and a frontal boundary, and this is going to move basically right up the eastern seaboard. And with it, there's a potential that we have some tropical development. As if anything, it's probably going to be a tropical depression. Really, really low impact. It's going to bring rain to the Outer Banks, Cape Hatteras area, Wilmington, and then just kind of gradually move up the coast. But what it's also going to do is this moves out of the picture here. It's going to allow this next system to perhaps move into place. So as these tropical systems, these lows form, it actually alters our pattern a little bit. A lot of times if we're to the west of a central low, depending on how strong it is, we'll have drier conditions, and that's what we're seeing here this weekend. It's not tropical, but we're to the west of that circulation, so convection and rain chances are fairly low. So more on that tropical probability here. Let's go to the NHC's outlook. Look at that. For July, that's a good sign. Again, we're far from the peak of tropical season, but the only threat, about a 50% chance of development over here. And again, I just have a gut feeling they're going to name this thing, and it will be a very little impact. This is a look at the probability of tropical depression related winds. Again, this is about a 80% probability, and that's what tells me that they're going to name this thing. It's a low, it's close enough to the coast. So we'll look back on this and say, hey, we had 3 named storms, all of which were below really tropical storm strength. But, this shouldn't scare anyone just because it has a name. This is moving away from the beaches. This is moving up the Atlantic seaboard. And again, will be a big rainmaker, I think, for the Outer Banks. For the rest of us here, Central Alabama, 4th of July looks pretty good. Can't really find any issues with the forecast. A few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Again, thanks to this dry air mass being in place, that's keeping our convection from really being overwhelming. And honestly, it looks like we've got a good looking setup here as we head towards the weekend. So that is a look at your forecast here as we head into the holiday weekend. We'll have one more short update, I think, on Friday for the 4th of July. I hope everyone's having a safe and wonderful start to their weekend. See you next time.